when I pray with Mary, it feels like, yes, you can do this, Simon. And I don't love you any less if you're going to get this wrong. Or you are mine and I am yours. It's a very cozy, it's a very empowering, mothering way of connecting with our God. And somebody who captures this in a way that doesn't sound like things you would say to a child, like everything I just said, is the poet we're using today, Jan Richardson. I find her poetry and poems around Advent absolutely glorious because they describe a connection to God through the experience of Mary that I'm going to try and get at today. And specifically, one of those qualities is joy. Now, Jan writes a poem on joy that I'm going to share with you now. Um, and it describes a relational, magnetic quality to God that comes and finds us and wakes us up. It's maybe I'm over explaining it. I should just share the poem. Here it is. You could not stop it if you tried. How this blessing begins to sing every time it sees your face. How it turns itself in wonder merely at the mention of your name. It is simply how joy works, going out to you when you least expect, running up to meet you when you had not thought to ask. I have a question for us to ponder. Can you remember a time in which joy ran to meet you? The one that's jumping in my head is my mother running across a very busy JFK airport in her sandals. My mother, who's in her 70s, running straight for me to envelop me in a hug. So please think about a moment when joy reached out and came and found you. And if you feel like it, you're welcome to write that into the chat. Remember moments when joy comes running to meet us. The thing is, joy is tricky because I had a few years and a lot of love, and often our joy experience changes and morphs and can become grief. Same love, very different experience. And that's one of the things that Mother Mary, over her lifetime, holds. She's also a keeper of sorrows, as well as an innocent who says yes. Now, in On Joy and Sorrow, the Khalil Gibran in the book The Prophet has this amazing passage that I want to share with us. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed out with knives? When you are joyous, look deep within your heart, and you will find it is only that which gives you sorrow that is now giving you joy. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your joy and your sorrow. And perhaps this is what Jan, our poet today, was talking about in the Angel and Mary poem when she said Mary's beautiful and awful yes. I'm reading your lovely comments about the joys that run to find you. Yes, we know these moments when joy comes. So the two things I've taught so far, or shared, that I want us to think about, one is that joy will come. It's like a grace, but one that is really held within love, within people, within our connection to the natural world. And the second one is that joy and sorrow go together, at least for most people. And the Christ light that you get in Christmas carols and on Christmas cards doesn't talk about sorrow very often. I suppose it doesn't make a very nice card. But Christmas sometimes touches us most when it arrives in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of grief, in the middle of awful politics or war. Along with the happy, triumphant melody of Joy to the World, which Zoom turned me down. I don't know why I did that. But along with that joyful melody is a deep compassion for all that we experienced, for all the other times that we have sang that glorious melody. And when we're together in church, it's not just our own experience. When we sing that at Christmas, we look around and we notice the people who had births this year, or deaths, or depression, or real success. We notice the joy and the lack of joy among each other. And within our joy is compassion, grief, but still joy, still new life. Like the grandfather who stoops down to play with his grandson even though he is widowed and his morning started with a cry. Yes, joy. Yes, even here, even now. And perhaps in this time of pandemic and shutdown, we need and receive its gifts the most. A big teacher for me here is the Dalai Lama. I don't know if you guys are fans of the Dalai Lama, but he is a holy man who has witnessed so much oppression with and for his people, the Tibetans. I once read that every time a monk escapes Tibet and comes to MacLeod Ganj, as it's called in India, where the Tibetan government in exile is, the Dalai Lama spends many, many hours with that monk, hearing stories from Tibet, learning about everything, including imprisonment and torture and things that happen to his followers. But the Dalai Lama is not a depressing man. He has a very joyful, life giving impact. And I remember once my friend Peter said that he went to a special breakfast in Seattle with Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And I asked him, "Oh, it must have been amazing. What did you learn?" And he said, "Well, actually, Simon, I just ate my breakfast and I watched them at the head table just laughing. They spent the whole breakfast laughing and laughing and laughing." So I'd like to weave in some of this laughter, some of this joy that Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama really hold in their friendship. They wrote a book together called The Book of Joy. Here, I've got some slides for this. And I'm going to give us some quotes because they're pretty wise. Here it is. Yeah, I just love seeing pictures of these guys together. Here's some words from the Dalai Lama. I've sometimes joked and said that God doesn't know very much about math. Because when you give to others, it should be that you are subtracting from yourself. But in this incredible kind of way, I've certainly found that it to be the case so many times. You give, and it seems like you're making space for more to be given to you. He also says, joy is the reward, really, of seeking to give joy to others. When you show compassion, when you show caring, when you show love to others and do things for others in a wonderful way, you have a deep joy that you can't get in any other way. You can't buy it with money. You could be the richest person on earth, but if you care only about yourself, I can bet your bottom dollar that you will not be happy and joyful. But when you're caring, compassionate, more concerned about the welfare of others than about your own, wonderfully, wonderfully, you suddenly feel a warm glow in your heart because you have, in fact, wiped the tears from the eyes of another. Here's a quote from Desmond Tutu in that same book. We are fragile creatures, and it is from this weakness, not despite it, that we will discover the possibility of true joy. And one last quote from the Dalai Lama here. The more we make a difference to heal our own suffering, the more we can turn to others and help to address their suffering with laughter-filled, tear-strained eyes of the heart. And the more we turn away from our own self-regard to wipe the tears from the eyes of another, the more incredibly we are able to hear, to heal, and to transcend our own suffering. This is the true secret of joy. Amen. So we're going to go back into that angel wash song. I behold you, beautiful one. I behold you, child of the earth and sun. Let my love wash over you. Let my love watch over you. I behold you, beautiful one. I behold you, child of the earth and sun. Let my love wash over you. Let my love watch over you. I behold you, beautiful one. I behold you, child of the earth and sun. Let my love wash over you. Let my love watch over you. So much about joy is in loving. I'm going to share with you a modern Christmas carol. This is the chorus of a new Christmas carol by Alana Lewandowski. She's a friend of mine, and you're welcome to sing along or just to soak it up. Long ago in Bethlehem, Christ was born through Mary's yes. The angel choir sang of that kiss, that God was woven in with us. As Christ was born on Christmas Day, the universe was set at play. Christ is born through you and me. Here's the chorus. We are Bethlehem. We are Mary's yes. The angel choir sang of that kiss, that God is woven in with us. We are Bethlehem. We are Mary's yes. The angel choir sang of that kiss, that Christ was woven in with us. Christ is born in you and me, setting all the captives free, just like Mary sang it would be. Christ is born through you and me. We are Bethlehem. We are Mary's yes. The angel choir sang of that kiss, when God was woven in with us. Amen. That says, no matter how lost I become, No matter what I do with this earth walk life, God runs to meet me. Love will come and find me and awaken within me. This will happen because the beloved will come and call my name through a myriad of people and circumstance. This is true for all of us, no matter how shut off we are. I've witnessed this quickening into relationship and love in prisons. I've seen it in psychiatric wards, in dementia patients, in the lives of everyone I meet. Whether we notice it or not, the angel is always watching, waiting, and inviting us to say yes to our lives. I'd like to close with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for your promise of life, your gift of love, that your kingdom will always come, that your will always be done through and despite our own thwarting. We say yes to you in our lives. With gratitude, we open our hearts for your purpose and truth to fill. Amen. We're going to bring up, or well, maybe now would be a good time for Kathy to spotlight our candle bearers. We have Sally with today's joy candle, Mary with the peace candle, and Claudia with the hope candle. And I'm going to say the same prayer on hope that I said earlier, and then we will blow out and send out these lights to the world. So this is the prayer called How Joy Works by Jan Richardson. You could not stop it if you tried. How this blessing begins to sing every time it sees your face. How it turns itself in wonder merely at the mention of your name. It is simply how joy works, going out to you when you least expect, running up to meet you when you had not thought to ask. And this is the joy with which we blow out our candles and send their light out to the world. Amen. Thank you, virtual wreath people, for bringing a little piece of joy to our church in diaspora. May the blessing of God rest upon you, and Christ's peace abide in you, and the Spirit illuminate your heart, now and forevermore. Amen. And thank you for the little joys that you wrote into the chat function. I invite you all to stay for coffee time. I have to run off to my other congregation, but peace and love to you, and I look forward to seeing you next Sunday on the solstice.